Welcome back, it's me, Lou. I'm here for another action figure unboxing and review. And today from McFarlane Toys and DC Direct, we are featuring Heatwave. And this action figure belongs to the Page Punchers line. And with the Page Punchers, you get an exclusive Flash comic book, which we can see right here. Here's the cover. Other figures in the line include Gorilla Grodd, Captain Cold, the Flash, and the Ryan Choi Atom. Alright, so I know nothing about the Heatwave character, and even though I've reviewed the other figures in this wave, I still have yet to actually open up the comic book and read it, which is kind of ironic because I'm actually a huge comic book reader, so it's kind of weird. So my first impressions of when I got this figure in the mail yesterday is immediately after I opened up the box from Amazon, my first thought was, wow, I did not expect this. So I had no preconceived notions of what to expect with this action figure. I mean, I knew it'd be good, just because, you know, I've been really excited about the stuff McFarlane's been giving us, especially like the non-Batman, non-Superman characters, and it just kind of wowed me. I'm like, this looks really, really cool. I mean, for me to be kind of to be naive to the character, I think that kind of helps because, you know, I don't really have a measuring bar of what to compare it to. But, you know, I just kind of fell in love with the design. It looks so cool. I love the asymmetry of the character, how his left arm kind of has this crazy, like, armored, like, blowtorch, looks like machine gun kind of deal. He has this wild face mask, kind of looks like something out of, like, Mortal Kombat or, like, Bane from the Dark Knight movies. He has a really, really, really white bodysuit, and this, I don't know, he just looks really cool. I love the color orange. Orange is one of my favorite colors, and the fact that he has, you know, all this orange trim on him, I don't know, it kind of like sweetens the deal. So yeah, it looks awesome, and I'm hoping that it's a very articulated figure too. I can see all the different points and whatnot, but I'm kind of hoping I can get him in some cool poses, especially with this crazy, like, weapon arm. That looks awesome. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm really enjoying all the figures I've gotten from this wave. There's something, I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's a psychological thing, you know, just because they come in a different box, but the Page Puncher figures just feel a little bit more special to me than the standard DC Multiverse stuff. You know, even though they do come with a comic book, I don't know, there's just something about the line that this really, really impresses me. Like the Page Punchers, Constantine, the Lee Bermejo Batman, the Superman, and, you know, the other figures from this Flash wave. They've been so impressive. And with the figure, we get the trading card, the display base, and the comic book, which I still have to read. And wow, first impressions. He feels a slightly heavier than some of the other figures in the wave, and I attribute that to this crazy weapon arm up here. I kind of feel like this figure could have benefited from, like, you know, like a wash. And if you're a customizer, I can easily see, you know, a lot of customizers doing that. Applying like an ink wash or panel lining to all the armor bits. Because there's some really nice details here. And even though they do stick out under natural lighting, I kind of feel like, you know, the addition of a wash or panel lining would, like, you know, add that extra oomph to the visual appeal of the character. Yeah, this is cool. Man, I'm digging this a lot. So I don't know anything about this character, and as his name is Heatwave, if I had to guess, maybe he's like the polar opposite of, like, Captain Cold. You know, whereas Captain Cold is all about freezing things, I'm sure this guy is probably like a pyromaniac or an arsonist. Much like Batman, the Flash's rogue gallery is very, very diverse, very colorful also. Okay, so we have Heat Wave, part of the Page Punchers line. You know what? I am so careful nowadays when I bend the knees because I did this in one video. I got my finger pinched between the kneecap and the thigh, and it was horrible. I ended up with this crazy blood blister. The joints on the knees are super tight, which is a good thing. But man, if you get this, if you get your fingers caught anywhere between these things, it hurts like an MFer. My guy's legs, unfortunately, they feel a little bit loose. They're kind of a little bit wobbly, especially this one. Don't know why that is. It could be the weight of the legs also, because the boots are pretty heavily armored. But yeah, that was one thing I noticed right off the bat, is that my legs are kind of wobbly. You see, look at that. And I'm assuming that this over time they're going to get even like looser, but a little bit disappointed with that. But you know, it might vary on your action figure. You know, it just could be my copy of the figure. I'm really digging this. This is really, really awesome. There's all these cool hoses attached from his shoulder backpack to his like forearm with this wild weapon. There's something about this that, if you're familiar with Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop, this almost seems like a character that could be out of that universe. Like the weapon here almost looks like a storm bolter. The way the body armor is designed, especially the mask, it almost looks like a Primaris Reaver Sergeant. Even the backpack looks very like 40K inspired. So yeah, I'm liking this a lot. You know, it looks great. I'm kind of wondering if over time, if the white on this guy, if the plastic, you know, the white plastic will like yellow out, you know, much like older toys, but who knows. Okay, let's get a closer look at Heat Wave. Very impressed. The sculpting on the face, especially around the mask, is a little bit soft. With some figures like the Flash in this wave, you know, his body armor, it looks so sharp, it looks so crisp. It's very high definition. This here looks, you know, the sculpting here could be a lot sharper in my opinion on his mask. It just looks a little bit, you know, doughy, if I had to describe it. It's a nice shade of white too, and I'm really surprised because this shade of white is very photogenic. Other action figures that I have that are white, you know, for some reason they'll reflect the light off really hard, and then, you know, my camera doesn't want to focus on it. But this guy, my camera has no problem at all focusing on him. It really likes, you know, this color scheme. The orange is nice. It's kind of like, it's not a vibrant orange. It's kind of like a dull matte orange, or at least a satin orange, I describe it as. It's not too matte. There's some reflective sheen off of it. I like the utility belt. The buckle's cool. I'm not sure what all those pouches are. Maybe they're fuel canisters or cartridges. Nice texture throughout. And I say that all the time, but it's really the case. McFarlane, especially with like, you know, anything that's video game designed or based off of like a live action movie, they're so good at recreating the textures on the uniforms. So yeah, this is looking great. Yeah, but the mask, this bothers me a little bit. It's not too sharp as I'd like it to be. This hose here is really sick. I dig that a lot. Super detailed. Yeah, really well executed. I'm liking this a lot. So I'm assuming he's Heat Wave. Like I said, I haven't read the comic yet. I'm guessing this is probably like a flamethrower or blowtorch. And maybe he shoots bullets also. Who knows? In terms of his articulation, Heat Wave's head rotates. Does he look down? Not so much. He almost looks like, from the side, he almost looks like a grunt from Halo also. You know, with the head and the face mask and kind of like the almost like hunchback posture. His arms rotate. Again, it feels like these joints are a little bit looser than I'd like. They don't feel as tight as like other McFarlane figures. He has the ball-socketed butterfly joint, bicep cut, which allows for a swivel, double pinned elbows, so you get flexing. He has a trigger finger on this hand, and there is standard wrist articulation. Cut mid-torso, so like a swivel. Does he crunch forward? A little. Arch back just a little. Swivel at the waist, I assume. Yeah, he can swivel at the waist. Kind of rolls around also. This arm rotates, but of course you're going to run into some issues with this thing here. It's thick enough, but it's also... the material isn't as hard, where if you try moving it, it'll throw it back. You know, if you put it in a pose, it'll hold. I think that's one of my concerns, because like with some figures that have, you know, similar gimmicks, sometimes the hoses might be too stiff that when you try moving a limb, it always kind of like resets it back to its natural position. But this one, it seems like it's, you know, done well enough and made of a material where if you pose it out, it's gonna, you know, hold the pose, which is good. This crazy arm, is it articulated in any way? It's only a single pinned elbow, and you can see the pin right there. It's not double pinned, and it just pretty much just folds. That's pretty much it. It's not gonna do anything, no more, no less. It does have a bicep swivel on this arm, but yeah, you're not gonna get a whole lot of range of motion out of this guy right here on the arm. It's just gonna bend. He's gonna kick forward, about there, kicks out, almost full splits, double pinned knees. It's ridiculous. Like the knees are super tight, but then the hip joint is like super loose on my figure. You know, it just kind of wants to like wobble around. Ankle articulation, toe articulation, very stock, very standard, but I'm digging this crazy like weapon arm. It's really awesome. I think it's cool. I dig this a lot. Now, handling a figure like this just makes me wish that they'd do more like figures that are kind of very stylized and unique like this. And that's why I'm kind of hoping that they tap more. Like they've already done a couple of figures from like the Injustice video games, and you know they're doing the Arkham Asylum games. But I kind of wish they'd do more of this kind of stuff. I really like, you know, the really unique, stylized, modern characters. I'm primarily a legacy guy. Like I do love the classic costumes, but every now and then something like this will just wow me, and it's really cool. Alright, so how would I rate this figure on a scale of 1 to 10? For me, first thoughts would probably be an 8 to an 8.5. My issues are that, you know, the limbs are kind of loose, but that just might be my figure. Your copy might vary. I think it looks great. You know, I do think that, you know, it could use with more paint, but you know, there's a certain level of paint detail that McFarlane figures have. You know, they're not going like completely crazy like the old Marvel Legends like Toy Biz figures that we got in the day. If you remember those were kind of like it's almost like paint application overload. It's like they'd base color it, and then it seems like they just dip the figure in like in a bucket of ink and pull it out, just so that every crevice, every line, every panel was like highlighted with like, you know, black ink. But this is cool. I dig this a lot. It's a villain, and I think in a toy line which was predominantly dominated by superheroes, it's nice that we're finally getting, you know, more bad guys. So I'm liking this a lot. Very, very cool figure. Well worth the purchase. I don't think you'll regret it. And also a very unique character too. And if you're unfamiliar with the character, even better, you can just throw this in any other toy line. If you're a little kid, you know, this guy could be one of your big baddies or henchmen in like Power Rangers or whatever other genre you want to throw him into. All right, so with that being said, let's wrap this one up. Oh, wait, real quick, if you're curious about the height on this guy, this guy falls in at 7.25. And I said this before with some other videos. Some of the more recent figures that we've gotten from McFarlane, it seems like they're scaling them down slightly. And I kind of theorized that the reason why they're doing that is because they want the figures to scale properly against one another. For example, we have a guest appearance by this guy who like shows up every video. This is one of the older McFarlane figures from like maybe 2 years ago, and as you can see, there's a significant height difference. The older figures from the last 2 years, they feel larger. They feel like a larger scale, and it feels like as McFarlane progresses forward, it feels like these figures are getting somewhat smaller. But I don't see that as a bad thing, because if they're making them smaller so that they can scale well with one another, I think that's a positive. Because, for a lot of people, scale's an issue, and I think that's been a big criticism with McFarlane since the beginning. So it's good that they're taking strides like that. But at the same time, for me, I kind of enjoyed handling an action figure that felt a little bit bigger. Like, it wasn't that big of a deal to me that, these figures blended in with, like, my Marvel Legends or my older Mattel DC Classics. I kind of felt that, with McFarlane doing it, they're going to do their own thing, which I'm always cool with. And I don't know, but I do think they do listen to the consumer. All right, wrapping this up. Once again, my name is Lou. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support. I greatly appreciate it. So until the next video, be safe, take care of yourself, buy lots of toys, and most importantly, be happy. And I'll see you at the next one. All right, later.